Hello and welcome in to the first ever LPO Pride Pod. This is on our Tuesday night, 7:30. Going to be a whole Pride pod dedicated probably about 45 minutes to an hour. Weekly during the season. During the off season, we'll see maybe weekly, maybe every other week. As much right now, we got a lot of news from the first part of the off season, and December was a very busy month for us, Luis. How are you doing, buddy?
No, I'm doing great. I'm excited for this new adventure we embark this year with the new Pride Pod here at LPO, and so just super excited to provide you guys with the best content possible for the Orlando Pride. It's going to be a huge season ahead of us, so I'm just very excited to get it started.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot going on, a lot of changes in the off season. We've seen, as per usual, some people leaving on free transfers, some trades, and some new faces coming in. So I really like that new intro you did there, Louise. So I'm excited for this new Pride Pod we got going on. It kind of fits with our new team, which is got a Brazilian flair now. We've always kind of been Brazilian. We've in Orlando with our sports teams, we've had obviously Kaká and then obviously Marta here for years, but now we've got even more Brazilians. So we're going to talk a little about those new faces and what they're going to look like in the lineup. But we also launched a new a new logo to go with our new pod just the other day. So check out that new logo for everybody. It's really cool. And maybe in the future, we're going to put it on some merch, t-shirts, hats. We'll see how that goes. First of all, let's get into our news and rumors. There's a lot of news this whole section, Luis. So we're going to go all the way back to November 13th because a lot has happened since then. So in November 13th, the Orlando Pride, we acquired for 50,000 in allocation money and expansion protection from the Bay FC, which is the new team this year in NWSL. So basically, Haley's policy is like we don't want to have them allow other teams to pick players from us, which I think is a good policy. So instead of that, we just pay a fee. And we did this again with the other team, just being the Utah Royals. But with the Utah Royals, we gave them 90,000, and we gave them Michaela Clough, who was a midfielder who played for us last season. Had some ups and downs, Michaela Clough. What's your opinion, Luis, on this policy of getting out of the allocation draft and the trade of Michaela?
Deal. There's a lot of players that are in front of her when it comes to that particular position. I mean, no doubt, she's a fantastic player, great human being, great locker room person. I just feel like she was gonna have a huge step to climb right there with all these new acquisitions that the Pride has been getting. So, and also with the new additions too that are coming through. So I think it was a smart move by the front office of doing this, and it just sets a precedent that this team, I think it's building themselves to be a championship squad, in my opinion. I mean, we'll see the depth in a little bit, but I just feel very, very confident, that this team is definitely gonna cruise control to the playoffs, and then hopefully, give Orlando a championship.
The other thing on Kayla is that her hometown essentially was in Utah, so she's going
Yeah.
back home. So there's that. I think she wanted to leave. I think Haley is smart in that she doesn't want us to have people on the squad that don't really want to be here.
Yeah.
So if it makes sense for her, it makes sense for us. It means we can protect our squad. I think it's all smart moves. And then at the end of November, on the 20th of November, we got the announcement of the end of season contracts and the update of who is staying essentially and who's being renewed and who's being let go. And from that, we found out that goalkeeper Michaela Kroon and also Catlin Cosme were out of contract and were not going to be exercised, as well as midfielder Tyus Reese. So three, I would say, backups really. Like I know Matthias Reese barely played much at all when she did play, and McKinley Crone, sorry,
Crone.
was essentially just like third string, like the third string keeper who wasn't playing much at all either. And Catlin Cosme, I don't know I at times I think was probably maybe our worst defender. What's your opinion on that?
She just never really got a lot of minutes,
But when she did get minutes, I think she stood
and
out.
when she did get minutes, I mean, you definitely missed. You know, you realized, we have players like Emily Madril that make an immediate impact after being drafted. You know what I mean? Would it be considered a trade, a bust? I hate to use that word, but I feel like her time in Orlando was ready to, to expire, in my opinion. And I think it was a good move. Um, I'm also surprised about Thais Rice. I'll be honest with you, because I thought she was going to stay. She was a great defensive-minded player in the attack. You don't get many of those. But I do want to say, I do want to add that she's actually going to be playing in Villarreal in La Liga. So she just got signed with Villarreal, powerhouse there in Spain. So there's a huge bright future for Thais Rice. I think she made a huge bond with all the players in the locker room, and I'm glad to see her soar and hopefully win some silverware there in Spain.
Well, I think it's one of those things where she just wasn't going to get the play time.
Hmm.
So maybe she has, some skills. She just needs to get the play time somewhere else. She was low down on that midfield pecking order, and you know, we really needed to make that a priority for us in this offseason. So I think it was one of those cases that free up some space in that position to allow better players to come in. So then in December 1st, this is when all the big news started of players coming in. The first one, Orlando Pride signs goalkeeper Sophia Manor for a 2-year contract. So Sophia Manor is, I'm assuming there might be different pronunciation of that because she is actually, I believe, Finnish. Am I correct in
Yeah.
saying that? Yeah, she's from Finland. And so she signs an agreed contract for 2025 from FC Honka in the women's Finnish league. So she also plays for the Finnish national team. She's not inexperienced. She's probably one of the best keepers, or if not the best keeper in the Finnish league
In
from my
Finnish,
research
yeah.
that I've
Hmm.
done. Obviously, the nominations for goalkeeper of the year, best player. Haley was talking about that in her interview. So I assume this means that she's going to be our number one keeper. Last year we had some issues with
Yeah.
Morehouse, and
Yeah.
I I really like Morehouse for several reasons, but also I can definitely see that she has her lapses. I think that it needed to be addressed, just like midfield goalkeeper was one of the areas that I think was key for us to address this offseason. And so now that we're bringing them in, now that we're bringing in Sophia, what that's done is meant that I'm not saying 100% Sophia is going to be the one. Maybe Anna can still compete if she has some more time and gets a bit more training, but at least we have a certain amount of solidity in that goalkeeper, right? Like you need to have your goalkeeper as somebody who can perform at a high level and has a certain amount of experience. You always need one of those in your goalkeeper roster, whether they're the first name on the goalkeeping sheet or not. You can't just have a bunch of young goalkeepers. You need somebody with some experience. So Sophia brings some experience and untested in the U.S. market, but maybe she can do it. So, what do you think about Sophia, Louise?
Great pickup. She could be the Pedro Galese 2.0, but for the Pride, in my opinion. I think coming from a country which is Finland, from a league that truly embraces women's soccer, it's huge there.
She
Just
did
like
play
you,
soccer here in the U.S. in college level. I will say that. So she's not
yeah,
completely unexperienced here.
yeah. So I think her being regarded as the best keeper in that league, I take that as a definitely a great accolade, on her. And I do believe that it's also great competition for Morehouse is going to push her, to do better because she just like you said, she had some loopers, you know what I mean, last season.
Yeah.
So.
That's putting
We
it really nicely, Louise. She had some
right.
bloopers.
Yeah, I mean,
She made some naive goalkeeping mistake, which young goalkeepers make, and that's what I was referring to, right?
yeah. So I
But
think
also
it's
at times she's make some great reflex saves too. So
yeah. I mean, she's made great. I mean, she's a great. I mean, she's a fantastic goalkeeper. I just feel like Sophia's going to be two heads of a spear. She's going to bring great competition for Morehouse, and then she's also in case an injury may linger, our number one. We have Sophia to take over, and it'll be plug and play. Because she's ready. Clearly, being regarded the best keeper, one of the best keepers in Finland. I mean, it's a huge accolade.
we also have Collins, who's away on loan, I believe in Australia at the moment. So we need to have some cover there. And then on December 5th, we brought in well, not sorry, not brought in. We renewed Emily Madrill, who was a rookie last season, and we've given her a new 3-year contract. Really, just a lot of time here spent in the off season renewing, like with Orlando City, renewing these key players that we want to keep and make sure. Like Emily Madrill seemed to have a really good season last year. I think she came on leaps and bounds as a rookie, and I think should be one of our starting center backs going into next season. So locking her down for a 3-year contract just makes sense, and I think this is really great news. Luis, do you have anything to add on Emily's new
Well, what
contract?
can I say about? To me, she's one of the best players in the squad. I mean, what an impact
She
she's
was a
made last
beast at
season.
times last year.
Yeah, I mean, she made an immediate impact. Immediate impact. She was drafted. I remember, Haley Carter saying that she was going to make a huge impact, and she was not mistaken. She's an amazing presence right there as center back. And not only that, I mean, she's a great locker room person, super professional. First person to get into practice, last person to leave. It's just super important into just the atmosphere with of what the team wants to build. Great tactical center back. So if Seb Hines tells her, "Hey, do this, stand right here," like she does it with a lot of intensity. So I feel she's gonna have her ceiling is super high for what her career is going to be in the NWSL, and I'm just so glad that she's with the Pride. You know what I mean? Fantastic impact, and I'm just delighted that she was able to definitely agree to a new contract.
Yeah, and I think overall she just showed that she can be a top level center back in this league, right?
Yeah.
She did enough to earn the big contract. Also a Florida native, so it's always nice to have those in the squad. I love keeping those Florida native girls around when they want to come back and keep playing for us. So on to the next piece of news. December 7th, we had defender Kylie Strom, who I know, Luis, you're a fan of, got 3-year contract to stay. So she is now here through 2026. Kylie, left back, played more of a defensive left back than a more of an attacking left back, I would say. She's up to 32, I believe now. So, but definitely still got something in the tank, right? Still able to offer something, still an experienced head, someone that's great in the locker room. So I don't see any downside to this, Luis. Do you?
No, I mean somebody that has played in top level soccer all around the world. Atletico Madrid. She's playing top level teams, bringing at 31 that experience to a young, squad, and not only that, but just being a huge presence. I mean, you're talking about she lead the league in tackles. She got 80 tackles, uh, 50 tackles just in the defensive third. You know what I mean? 114 interceptions. So she was a huge part of our defense. One of the reasons why I believe that this was a must, something that the front office had to do right away. I'm sure that if she was up and up, any other team could have scooped her over, and she would have made an immediate impact in any other team in the NWSL. So I'm just, she had one of the best seasons, in my opinion, of her career last season. So fantastic, stamina. Definitely a great acquisition for Orlando to sign her for another 3-year contract.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart move. I think she's got something left to offer, so that's great, and I think she's ready to hopefully teach some of these younger girls, how to defend like she can. Maybe she could be like a left-sided center back. I think she just really struggles to go forward well, and in our system, we seem to want to be playing these attacking fullbacks, and she's not the best at that. So maybe we can see a different role for Kylie. But nice to see that she's still going to be renewed, and excited to have her here. Then on December 12th, we had a trade. So Orlando Pride acquired the 2024 international roster spot for a trade for Carly Nelson and allocation money to Utah Royals. So it was about 65,000 in allocation money, and Carly Nelson went to the Utah Royals. Carly Nelson, I think at times played pretty well last season when we were frustrated with Morehouse and we put in Nelson instead. And I think she had some good games. Overall, though, I don't know if she was going to be able to take the first team spot, maybe. But I think she wanted to go perhaps to Utah. It just seemed like the right thing to do for us. If like I said before, we want to have this policy of letting players go who don't want to be here, then I think it makes sense. And this was another one. What are your thoughts on Carly Nelson's trade?
I mean, I was a little surprised because I felt she was a pretty good important piece on the goalkeeping corps last season, and but I think that what you said, getting somebody from from the Finnish league and being able to also keep Morehouse. I think it was a smart move, especially if you're getting money out of it, and you're getting an international roster spot. And I think it's great. I think it was a great move. I think she the coaching staff in Orlando Pride is spot on, and I think she's grown as a player, and I feel like she definitely thanks Orlando a lot for the growth she's had. And she was a great also locker room person within the locker room, from my understanding. And every time I had the chance to talk to her, she was fantastic. But it is a business in the end. You know what I mean? And you got to do what's best for the team. And I think getting an international roster spot is huge for Orlando. So I think we wish her the best at the Utah Royals. She'll share locker room with Michaela Clough, right? So it's in a way it has a little piece of Orlando Pride right there in that team.
Yeah, I mean, we send them on their way. Happy to say that they enjoyed their time with the club, and maybe they'll come back one day. We don't know, right? Stranger things have happened. So good luck to Carly, and I hope she enjoys the new team in Utah. Also, uh, it's going to be interesting to see when we play these girls. They come back to town, and how they enjoy being an away fan. Sorry, an away team in our house. So next piece of news on December 13th, the first big signing. Second big signing of the offseason after Sophia was Angelina, who came from OL Reign, now returned to Seattle Reign. No, formerly OL Reign, now Seattle Reign. That's interesting. But she, Angelina Alonso Constantino, I can't even say that one. Luis used to have said this. She's a dynamic midfielder with tremendous potential. She had an ACL problem a couple seasons back, but she has returned from that. She obviously is Brazilian, so she knows Marta. She's been in and out of the Brazilian national team, playing with Marta. You know, fala português, because I think we're all gonna have to fala português, Luis. Another Brazilian in the
Yeah,
house. I'm excited. How do you feel about this signing of Angelina?
it's a great signing. You're talking about somebody that has played in two top teams in Brazil, like Santos and Palmeiras. Somebody that has also played in one of the top teams in professional soccer, which is Brazil. under 17, under 20, getting caps. I think she's going to be a midfielder that's going to definitely be, that help to Marta. Sometimes you see Marta, if Marta has to mentor someone, I think that she'll be that person to mentor Angelina. And I think it's an honor for all these Brazilian players to be playing with Marta right now, especially after her winning the best, and everything she's won in her career. So I just think she's a very dynamic, midfielder, great shot from distance. You're gonna see plenty of nutmegs, plenty of that Brazilian flair. I just think that she's gonna bring something important to that to our mid. A lot of creativity, a lot of creating plays out of nothing. Something that we saw maybe when Nani was in Orlando City. Something that she be able to do as a midfielder. She did it in Santos. She did it in Palmeiras. She also did it in All Rain. Unfortunately, lingering injuries. It happens. It's part of the game. But Orlando Pride, I think they made a great decision signing her. I think I'm excited. I'm excited to see her play. Be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's got a lot of potential for sure. Still young. She'll bounce back hopefully, and we'll see this from her to be, maybe this can be her home club. I feel like she's, like you said, hasn't really worked out somewhere. So if she just needs a chance and we're giving her that chance, Seb has shown that he can get the best out of players, and hopefully he can get the best out of Angelina. I'm excited for the flair she brings, like you said, Luis, right? Like long range free kicks, any sort of uh, runs down the wing. I think we really lacked pace on the wing. I think she might play a little bit more deeply, but like being a kind of more of a sort of box to box midfielder, someone you can link from the deep midfield to the attack. That's how I kind of see her, but she could also be deployed out wide on the wing or in the center of the attack. She's very versatile like that across the midfield. But really just good with the ball, a good dribbler, good at passing, good having the ball to be comfortable on the ball. So I'm excited to have her in. I think, like we said, midfield was a problem that needed to be addressed, and it's going to be interesting to see where Angelina plays. On to the next signing, very next day, the Brazil the Brazil trade came around again, and this time it dropped her off
Portuguese.
Luana. So Luana, she is from Corinthians, and is also a member of the Brazilian national team. Definitely more of a defensive midfielder is the understanding that I have from what I've seen. More of a sort of like ball winning midfielder, someone who's going to come in there and do the dirty work, clean up, a Cesar or a Wilder, if you would. That type of role is what I see from Luana. I think she probably could play a little bit further forward in the midfield, but I don't expect her to do that based on what we need. I think her role is to come in and sweep up as that defensive midfield. And I'm excited for that because I love me a defensive midfielder. And I really love, you don't know this about me, Luis, I really love a Brazilian defensive midfielder. There's something about them, like you said about Matthias Reese, is that
Yeah.
they have that flair. If they're a good, hardworking midfielder, but they also have the flair to be able to go forward with the attack,
Yeah.
that really makes them a threat. And I think that's Luana, what she's bringing. How do you feel about her and her attributes?
After announcing Angelina, announcing Luana, obviously Thais Rice, that's probably why she's going to be playing in Spain now, because she had obviously no roster space essentially to have her. You know what I mean? With these two players, especially Luana coming from Corinthians, 16 appearances, 3 goals, a couple of assists. She had 16 goals in Norway when she played in Norway. So, these are experienced players that play World Cups. You know what I mean? They play under 17s World Cups, national team World Cup. So, I mean, these are players that are going to make an immediate impact. So, and another thing I'm going to say is, it's the way I think the organization as a whole is building their squads. Low risk, high reward. I mean, this is a player that had some injuries in the past, nothing major, but we're getting them for, you know, quote unquote cheap, and boosting them to their potential again, playing in the pride, right? So we're benefiting from boosting them because we have full faith on their on our training, or on our coaching staff. So I think this is a great pickup. I think it's a sign a 2-year contract. It's no harm done, with an option to 2026. So I'm excited to see, that connection that, Marta, Angelina, and Luana could be doing. That plug and play, that jogo bonito. Put it into the pride. And hopefully, that sparks people to actually come to the games more. You know what I mean? Because these are ready to play players. These are players that are very experienced, and I'm just super excited.
Yeah, I think Luana, in particular, she said, I'm thrilled to join Orlando as it is a great club and a privileged location where I'm able to play alongside amazing players. It's a very important step in my career, and I've always wanted to play at NWSL. So it's different players coming in for different reasons, right? Like we've had experienced players who are coming, and also players that are coming just because they want to be in this league. I think the league is growing reputation around the world. It's hard to say in the women's structure whose league is the best league definitively, but I would say that the U.S. league, the NWSL, is up there as definitely one of the top in the world. So it attracts players from other leagues, like the Brazilian league that perhaps isn't as well funded, or um, you know um, they move freely between here and Europe more than in the men's game. So I think definitely it's nice to see people coming to the Pride, for the badge and the logo, and also the league and what that means to them. So I'm excited to have Luana here. Like I said, I love a defensive midfielder. So welcome, Luana. On to next signing. Well, really not a signing, but a new deal for Haley McCutcheon on the December 20th. So just a week later, we get a new deal for one of my favorite players of last season. I think she was an incredible asset on that right back position. She was really a right winger over parts of her career, but can also play right back. And we used her at right back last year, and she played well defensively and also pretty well going forward. So I think perhaps we're going to have a big year from her again. Maybe she's going to play right back. Maybe she's going to play right wing. Maybe she'll play in midfield. We don't know. But a new contract for her, 3-year deal. Excited about this one. Luis, your thoughts on Haley returning?
I couldn't agree more with you. To me, one of the best hustle I've seen in 2023 for this player. Phenomenal performance in every single game. I mean, drive, hustle, getting the ball back and going in transition. She just is hungry for winning important things with the club, and I'm just excited that they were able to, keep her. And I just feel like she's not only that, but I think she's a very good influence in the locker room, and also she does a lot of great things within the community. So I mean, it's we win double when we have players like that, right? So I'm just super excited for what's to come. To me, just like you, John, one of the best players last season, bar none. Constant overperforming in every game. So I was very happy when I heard that. So for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to have Haley back. So it's going to be a big year for her, I think, in 2024. On to the next piece of news. We finally got to January 2024. This is the 2nd of January. We have another new signing. Did I miss one, Luis? Wait, hold on. Where did I get Emily Madrill? I missed one.
No, sorry.
No, my
There you
bad.
go.
Thank you. Yeah, that's my bad. We're gonna go straight on to Evelina Dujan. I think you got it right, and I got the wrong order, but it doesn't matter. On to I think you say it, Evelina Dujan,
Duljan,
Dujan,
right?
Dujan. Um, this is a very, very versatile player. It says here, Evelina is a young, versatile athlete. That's an undersell by Haley there. I looked up the different positions she played for Juventus, an insane amount of positions. She played right back, she played striker, she played right wing, she played midfield, she played left mid, she played center mid. So, a very impressive pickup for us. It says she's a midfielder. Whether she's going to play, I think right wing is probably her most natural position, from what I could tell. But she seems to be like a versatile, intelligent, technical player. I'm thinking similar to a sort of Dagger Dan type, that we can really deploy wherever we want in our team. So I'm super excited about this signing. I think Evelina could be a hidden asset here that we got on a cheap from Juventus. So from a big team as well. Like we're signing players here, Luis, from major clubs around the world, and that's great to see. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
Julian?
yeah. Another low risk, high reward player. This is someone that we're actually making. I feel like we're taking a little bet on her. Where we know it comes from a huge club. Also, you have to understand she's had a huge international career since she's like 16 years old. She's been in the U17 for Sweden, U19, U23, and more than likely, if she explodes with the pride, and we sign her for a multi-year contract, which is what we are. I feel the club is hoping, right, that this pans out. This is not only going to help her as a football player, as a soccer player, but it's going to help her in her also international career, because she's definitely going to make the Swedish national team. You know what I mean? She's like right there on the borderline. So
I mean, she
it's it's
should really.
it's sink or swim for her, because if she doesn't make it here, if she doesn't make it here, and then after a year is done, she has not made that impact, or she's not made anything happening. I highly doubt. The competition in Sweden is fierce when it comes to national team. The seniors, so they have players all over the world. So you know, I feel that's the reason why she probably moved to the United States. Is the NWSL one of the best leagues in the world? And I wish her the best. I think, like you said, we have a potential like Dagger Dan, plug and play player, and if she explodes here, it's going to be good for us. It's a bet that we're taking with this player, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, just based on her minutes at Juventus and her previous history of what clubs she's been at, and seems like this is her chance now, really, to cement a place. And like we
Right.
said with the players, I think it's just a certain theme here that we're bringing in. We're taking risks on players that, if they pay off, could mean that we end up with a super team. Not all of them are going to pay off. Some of them will, and we'll have really good players, but not all of them will, I'm sure. So, on to another asset we brought in on January 11th. We brought in Morgan Galtrout for 50,000. I'm sorry, and 50,000 in allocation money, from the Kansas City Current in an exchange for a 2024 international roster spot. So this is a good signing, I think. A veteran, defensive midfielder. Also grew up playing soccer in Florida. Kind of returning home. Been playing for Chicago Red Stars. Obviously played for the Current. Also had a season with the French club Olympique Lyonnais, the actual Olympique Lyonnais, not the Seattle one. And so, yeah, just a veteran of the league, a veteran of the sport. Just, I think, again, Luis, another plug and play. We really fixed that midfield here in the space of 4 days. What was this, like 2 weeks? We brought in four midfielders. So really good to see that. What are your thoughts on Morgan?
I mean, great veteran presence, somebody that has played in the national team in every single level, U17, U20, and seniors. 88 caps with the U.S. women's national team. She's played she has a lot of experience, something that she can bring into the locker room with such young squad. And I'm just very excited for her. I think it's a new beginning for her. She came from a nagging injury, and I think it's a new beginning. Something that she has something to prove. I feel like she has something to prove. She's gonna have to compete for her position with a lot of young, talented players. And I think it was a great pickup. Especially for what we got, and we could potentially revise and maybe bring her back into the UN's women's national team form. As long as it happens, in her wearing an Orlando Pride jersey, that's all we care about, right? So I think she knows that, and she's a two-time World Cup champion that we brought in. So she's gonna bring that presence, that knowledge, and I'm just delighted, especially 50,000 bucks that comes with her, right?
Yeah, I think a good trade. I think, like you said, another sort of we're taking a risk, but this one has less elements of like a risk on a
Correct.
young player, more sort of a risk on the injury and how much left she's got left to offer and her abilities. Like, so I think again, it's just a good move by us. I think we really brought in depth in that defensive midfield, midfield two. If we play the 4-2-3-1, I don't know. That remains to be seen. With all the midfielders we brought in now, we could play a 4-3-3. There's some options there. So on to the one we missed, Luis, was Madrid, correct? Do you have that up?
No, no, I think we did. Yeah, I think we
We
did.
did
It
Madrid.
was my mistake. It was my
Oh,
mistake.
okay, cool. I thought
Yeah,
we
we did
missed it.
Emily. Yeah.
Okay, right up to almost present day news. January 12th, we had the NWSL draft. So we were immune from the expansion draft. Not to confuse anybody, there's the different drafts. The NWSL expansive draft, which happened because of the Utah Royals and Bay FC coming into the league this year. The regular NWSL draft, which happens from all the collegiate teams, happened on January 12th. And we picked four players, Luis. The first of which we got in round one was a midfielder by the name of Ali Lemos. Now, Ali Lemos looks like a very, very good, what I would say, technical midfielder. Someone who is really good with a ball, especially a dead ball. There's a video you go watch on her Instagram of her in the NWSL championship. Sorry, not NWSL, in the collegiate championship final, doing an assist from a corner, which is insane. Essentially, she always puts it in the net herself. So she looks definitely like a really good dead ball technical player, someone who can hit, a really long ball, a good pass. Whether or not she's going to play a part in the season, I think most likely yes. From the comments we got at the draft on all four of these that we'll talk about, the comments we got from Theb and Haley really left me to feel like they're going to be immediately used assets. So Ali could be a winger for us. It could be an attacking midfielder. It could be used as more of a central midfielder, but definitely someone, maybe a starter even. I would go that far to say there was a lot of hype around her and her abilities. So what are your thoughts on Ali before we go on to the other three draft picks, Luis? She was the big star of the show here.
For sure, an amazing prospect. She's definitely going to be in the under 20s 2024 women's World Cup, I'm sure. It's going to be taken in August and September, the World Cup. So she's definitely going to be part of that. A huge signing, in my opinion. Can't believe she fell that low down on the totem pole, but the only thing that matters is that we got her, and I think it's going to be a huge depth for what we have. We added Angelina, Luana, Morgan Gautrout. She's going to be now. We're adding Ali Lemos. Now she's going to learn from all those three experienced players, two from South America, one from the United States. She's already playing the national team. So she's going to kind of, in a way, grow into her role with the team. One of the things that Orlando has suffered from last season, in my opinion, has been the possession game, right? Keeping possession, and I think they're building something here. I think she's a player that she has no problem hanging on into possession and being that dynamic player in transition that can maybe partner up with Adriana, down in transition, and then connect with maybe Messiah Bright. You know what I mean? And I think it's a fantastic talent, and I'm glad that Orlando was able to pick that up at 9.
I mean, I think that you're totally right, Luis, because Marta is such a technical player,
Yeah,
and she needs, other technical players to play the way that she wants to play, with those being able to retain the possession of the ball, being able to play almost like a tiki-taka style, 1-2s, making little triangles. And we have some players like that. I think some of the other South Americans that we have on the squad are like that. And now that we've added even more, and I think you get players like Ali Lemos who are technical players as well, you can start to play that way. So maybe that's the plan for this season, to see us be a more, ball retentive team, because you're totally right. We would get ourselves in situations just by giving the ball away. And part of that was our defensive midfielders, but also the wingers would give the ball away and the fullbacks would give the ball away, So I think we need to be just generally better at ball retention going into 2024. So the other last three draft picks we got in was Corey Dyke, who was picked, was a midfielder, and she was picked overall as the 22nd pick in the second round. Um, Again, not too much information on Corey Dyke, just a general. Seems like a midfielder that maybe we'll pick up. I don't know. Alex Kerr, round 4, the 50th overall pick, an attacking player, apparently. Could be a forward, could be a winger. Not too much information. And the very, very last pick for UCF, 56th pick overall, Talia Gabara, midfielder. So that's the one I really want to sign, Luis, because got to sign the local players.
that's
Talia
right.
Guevara, how dare they put you last in the draft? We pick you. We will not let you not get picked. Don't worry. Everyone else was sleeping on you, Talia. So I'm excited to see which of these players gets picked up. I think Ali Lemos definitely, but like I was saying, it seemed to me that Seb and Haley were talking about all 4 of these like they're going to be assets that we're going to use. So um, maybe they're going to be our backups. Maybe they'll have a starting role. Maybe we won't play them at all. We will remain to be seen on these draft picks as the coming weeks go. But overall, Luis, that's a lot of movement. And then today we had even more news. Our final little bit of news here. Today, Orlando Pride and a midfielder, Erika Tymrak, agree mutual contract termination. Erika has mutually agreed to terminate contract, and she has decided, we believe, most likely to go play soccer in Europe. It doesn't necessarily say that, but I think that's what her plan is. She's enjoyed her time in NWSL, but wants to go challenge somewhere else. I think for Erika, the problem was she really thrives in that center attacking midfield position, and obviously we have Marta there. So I'm not saying she couldn't be used elsewhere, and she was good at times. But at 32 years old, if she wants to play all the time and be, that number 10 role, it's going to be hard for her to do that. And Marta's staying here and occupying that role. So maybe that's why she's moved on. Maybe she has other reasons. We're not 100% sure. But again, if players don't want to be here, I think it's totally fine to let them go. Luis, your thoughts on Erika, not only a club legend but a USA legend out the door.
No, for sure. Very sad news. In my opinion, I think she's meant so much to the Orlando Pride, and to obviously since she joined in 2021, um, a huge impact as a professional, as somebody that is able to help a lot of the youth players in the team. And so 61 appearances, 2 goals, 7 assists. I'm just happy that she was able to be an Orlando Pride player. And we have a lot of depth now in her position also, right? And so I don't know if she sees that, but what I've been told is that she's thinking of in Europe, thinking and maybe playing in Europe, and I guess every player has a right to feel what's best for them, and I feel like she's reached her ceiling here, you know what I mean. And I wish her nothing but the best. I mean, she was hustle embodied, in my opinion. Somebody that was
Yeah,
also a Gator. She was in the Gator Hall of Fame, for UF, University of Florida. So she was in the Gator Hall of Fame and all of that. So I mean, phenomenal player. I'm so happy that she was able to be a Pride player for so long, and I wish her nothing but the best.
yeah. Thank you, Erica, for all your time. We appreciate it. On to That's it with the news, Luis, because there's so much news. It was most of our show, but we're gonna do a little section here at the end on depth. So I'm gonna ask Luis to bring up the chart I did earlier today, which kind of shows the amount of depth we have in the squad at the moment. And this is not necessarily this is players in multiple positions, basically showing where they could play. From my understanding and what I knew from last year, Luis, please tell me if I've got anything wrong here or if you think there's any players in positions that shouldn't be there. But from the research I've done and from what I understand, who can play where, I think really the first 11 there is a rough outline of what could be our first 11 if we play a 4-2-3-1 with all the changes that would be made. We can go through that, but this just really gives you an idea of the amount of options we have and look at the amount of strength that we have in certain positions, and just coverage as well. Like I think there are times last year where we got into problems because we didn't have another, player in right back or center back, or we're missing a DM and or missing a striker, and so other players filled in those roles. But really now we're able to cover positions better. Luis, what are your thoughts? We can go through the starting 11, but first of all, what do you think about the coverage here? And is there any position that you feel like we still need to address, or anybody I missed off that you feel like could be an option to play a different position?
Well, I mean, obviously the left back position, where Kylie is, with Carrie. But I mean, you can also maybe
Carrie
plug
played
in.
there quite a bit last year, right? Am I
Right,
correct in thinking that?
right,
And
yeah.
anyone else play there apart from Kylie and Carrie?
I know that we saw Celia there sometimes here
Celiac
and
played
there,
there
right?
sometimes. Okay,
So,
yeah.
I mean, the good thing about it is as you said, I think it's one of the first few seasons that we have so much depth, and they're all great players and also different styles, right? So you have somebody like La Roquette on your left, that she could also play right, by the way, and then you have Julie Doyle that she could play striker and left wing. You know what I mean? So the versatility that this team has is amazing. Now, obviously, these are not you know huge names. These are not your Alex Morgans and your but these are players that are ready to kill for the badge. And talented players, right? Also, Marta, let's say she hits a knock, she misses one game. You got Angelina, you got somebody like Summer Yates that knows how to distribute the ball very well, knows how to drive the ball deep. You have someone like Ali Lemos that does the back and forth job. So There's so many options. To me, I love the fact that Carrie Bello can play so many positions. Also, you got Carrie Bello playing almost like the six. You can have Carrie Bello playing like left back, right back. So, um, you know, the versatility this team has, and I think it's gonna make more sense when we see it collectively on the pitch. So,
I
I
mean, I
think I
got to
think
the
you I
point.
think you got a spot on with the starting squad, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll go through that in a second, but just on depth, your point there, I got to the point with when I was doing this exercise where I was just like you said with Larroquette could play the other side. I didn't even think about that one. I could have put her in. Like on the striker position, it starts with Messiah Bride, then we've got Amanda Allen, Julie Doyle, Ali Watt,
Mhm.
Evelina Dujan, Alex Kerr, who was one of the draft picks, and
Mhm.
Adriana. There's probably even more who could play. Like Ali Lemos could probably play there. Like that's we don't need 6 or 7 deep in the striker if we're playing
Right.
one striker position, but it just shows you the options. So, like you said, we're covered in lots of positions. Maybe left back is the only issue. I think wingers, attacking players, where we got lots of coverage. Defensive mids, we got lots of coverage. Center back, lots of coverage. Maybe fullback could be the place. Goalkeeper, we're fine. So maybe that's the place. But outside of that, it seems now that we've really filled these holes, especially the defensive midfield that was a problem. And now we've got, Angelina, like if we go through the starting lineup, you'll understand more. We've got Angelina Luana in there at the moment, but underneath her, you've got Morgan Gujarat, and you've got, Carrie Bello, you've got Villa Corta, you've got Jordan Listro, who are two names we didn't even talk about yet. Right. So that's 6 defensive midfielders options there for you if we go with the 4-2-3-1. To go through the starting lineup up top with number 11, Messiah Bright. I think Louise, she deserves to keep being the starter, but I would love to see more from her. I think I'm hoping she's been working on fitness in the off season because she wasn't really able to run flat out, I think, for 90 minutes last season. I think I would see her kind of slow down around the 60th, 70th minute, and then she'd have to be subbed out. So I'm hoping she can improve her fitness, but also her consistency up front. And then at left wing, I put Larroquette, but could be Julie Doyle, could be a number of options as we discussed. At number 10, we've got Marta. At the right wing, we've got Adriana. In defensive mid, we've got Angelina and Luana. At left back, we've got Carly Strom. At center back, we've got Raphael. At center back, we've also got Emily Madrill. And at right back, we've got Haley McCutcheon. And then down in goal, we have Sophia Manor. So that was just the 11 that I put in. That could be a starting 11. It might be our strongest 11. It might not. Luis, your thoughts on that starting 11?
I think it's a great starting 11. I think it's the best of what we have right now. And I think we have plenty of depth. Um, I want to see this year to be Messiah's year. I think she has a lot of potential. I know the U.S. women's national team is looking for a striker with her characteristics for sure. And she has everything poised to be one of the top players in the NWSL. I think she was really, really close too. I just want to see her explode this year. Now obviously you have also another type of striker like is Amanda Allen, Canadian national team, someone that's trying to find something to, trying to find a team has something to prove, and then you have a hungry Julie Doyle, which with an amazing presence. Now Ali Watt, I see her more as a winger, so I think I'll see her as maybe right there with Adriana. Nothing I can say about Adriana. I mean, she was one of the best players last season. Lara Ket, she made an immediate impact last season also. A great veteran pickup too from Argentina national team, play the World Cup also. And, we have somebody like Corey Dyke there that could definitely, excel. And maybe Evelina becomes the number 2 in that position, and Julie enjoys playing her 9 role. You know what I mean? So there's so many things that can happen, but I just feel, and I feel very comfortable that the Pride has so much depth. I think that we're ready to start start the NWSL in the right foot. Another thing is when it comes to Haley McCutcheon, like look, you got Celia, you got Brianna Martinez. I mean, these are talented players. So I love it. I love the depth that we have. It's very promising, and I'm excited.
I think also with all of these midfielders we brought in now, and maybe Marta, like I've talked to you about this several times, that
Right.
maybe Marta needs to play a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's time to play like a 4-3-3,
Yeah.
and
Too.
sit Luana in front of Marta and Angelina, right? And just have a perfect like little Brazilian triangle in midfield there, and let Ariana and Messiah and Erika or whoever that front three is run around, up top, and kind of let Marta sit a little deeper and play the balls around, let Angelina run out in front of her. I love Marta. I think that she's great, but she isn't able to dribble the way she used to, and she isn't able to run the way she used to, and that's just time, and there's nothing against that. But it usually at this point in their career, you find a way to use an attacking midfielder, perhaps a little deeper in the play, and use her ability to make a great pass, instead of perhaps be the player that's dribbling forward. Do you think that's something we might see, or do you think it's just a case that Marta's still going to be our attacking mid? We just sort of use her less.
I just think that they are making the right moves, signing Angelina, signing Ali Lemos, signing, Luana, so they don't have to rely so much on Marta, right on that position. So, and I think that's great. I think that's great. And maybe, like I said, maybe more of like a classic, even a 4-4-2, maybe Messiah off the rebound. She's not, as sharp. Maybe you got somebody like Julie Doyle right there that they could play the 4-4-2 with Julie Doyle and she feel more comfortable. I mean, Julie Doyle is like a poacher. She's done a lot of poaching goals. So I just feel like, or maybe somebody like Amanda Allen, you try to find that connection. We already saw that Adriana and Marta, they have a connection going on. Also Adriana playing the 9, she was fantastic. So um I think this is the lineup. I just think that Seb is ready, that if something doesn't work, somebody else is ready to take that spot and it's probably going to perform very well. And
For sure. I think that depth is there,
yeah,
like we've not seen in the Pride, may
in a
maybe
while.
ever. Like
Yeah.
honestly, even because that first team that came out with all the stars way back in, what was it, 2015? It it had, or 2016, it had a lot of star power, but the rest of the roster was just lacking.
Yeah.
So I think this is the most balanced roster we've ever had.
Correct. Yeah.
I think we have, a few stars in there in Marta and Adriana, but the rest of the squad is really just, hardworking like players that we've balanced the bill well. And I don't think we have any people that are gonna come in and as my mom would say, is upset the apple cart. People any players are going to come in and cause issues in the locker room. I think that Haley and Seb have been very smart in the fact that they're bringing in the kind of players that they believe fit the culture of what they're doing now. And every single one of the players that's renewed in their interview has said, they're enjoying the project and they want to be here for the project. So it's clear that the Pride has righted the ship and made everything, in the last year steer in the right direction, and everybody's on board and signing up for another year, and the new players are on board, and everybody's going to be basically ready to go for this off season. And I don't feel like we need to really, maybe a left back, but I think we're ready to go now. So we
Yeah.
got
I
a
think we're
good
ready to
2
go.
months, we're gonna start the preseason at the end of the month. Is starting just like a week or so from now, and they're gonna have this whole squad ready to go. we're not going to be adding pieces right before the season starts. So I think that's a major advantage. Any last thoughts on the Pride before we go into our sign off and call it a day?
I wish them. I know they're gonna have a phenomenal season. I'm just excited with the new additions to the team. Tons of depth. I want to see Messiah Bright score this season about 9 to 10 goals at least. I want to see Marta getting best a huge accolades from the NWSL. Adriana as well. And I want to we're gonna maybe read some comments before we go. You want me
Yeah,
to?
definitely
There's three
gonna part
comments
of
there.
our read some
Alonso.
comments before we go. I will
Yeah.
say this as well, Luis. Like you said, obviously, I want to see a big season for Messiah. We talked about that, but I also would love to see a big season for Larroquette. I think
Yeah.
that she's a player with massive potential. And Adriana, I think if we can get a front four of Larroquette, Adriana, Marta, and Messiah firing, that is going to be top class in this league. And yes, Gotham have signed a lot of players, and the big girls over there, and Angel City signing up a bunch of quality talent too. But I feel like our squad has a huge amount of potential and growth that can come out of it. So we built the right way. It's not super easy for us to attract the big players. I know that everyone was excited by that. I was excited by the prospect of getting in a big signing. But in some ways, like we said, it makes better sense to build the roster this way, because we're going to end up with a team full of players who want to be here and not a bunch of stars who aren't interested in playing for the badge. We got players who want to be here and play for the Pride. So
Do
that
you
excites
remember?
me.
Do you remember how we beat Portland? I think we're
Yeah,
gonna. I think we're gonna see more of that this year,
I
and
think definitely there's
and the
that.
league is not ready.
I think we could be a sleeping giant this year,
Yeah,
and doing all of our business so early, like I said, and I think it's one of those things. Once this team really gels together and we start clicking, and we know our roles and who's playing where, we're gonna be excited by what the prospects are. And I will say this now: I would be surprised if the Pride doesn't make the playoffs this year with this team.
yeah, no,
I would be really
yeah.
surprised.
I'll be disappointed to be honest with you.
Honestly, I mean, I think last year we were giving Seb
Really
sort of
close.
a, let's see what he can do and let's see how it goes. And he did really well. We almost made the playoffs with a team that had massive holes in it. The team now is complete. I think we added a lot of great pieces. So, we can definitely be a contender, and we can definitely be a playoff team at a minimum, I would hope.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and also, we have somebody like Marta. We have a great locker room. It's a great atmosphere. Within the team, I think the best it's ever been. With Seb and Giles and everybody there. Haley. Everybody contributing to a great atmosphere in the locker room, and that translates onto the pitch. I believe, and I'm wholeheartedly a believer that we're going to see more Orlando versus Portland moments. And the team is not ready. Houston's not ready. Now, a lot of the teams, could downplay Orlando a little bit, but, they've made a really good signings silently, without bragging, very humble. And I think we're going to see a lot of wins this year by the Pride, hopefully. And I want to just tell everybody to go support them. If you're a City fan, go support the Pride. We're gonna read some comments real quick before we go, right?
I want to say yes, before we go to comments, one last thing. Remember when we were doing LPO and we did the news about Haley coming in? It was about halfway through last year. Um, and we said, like, this is a really impressive pickup and we think she's going to be really good. I'll say Haley has come in and done that GM role, from what I can tell, with a
Yeah.
certain amount of just like military precision that we've never had from the Pride GM or even had a Pride
Yeah,
GM. So I want to say thank you to Haley for
yeah,
coming
I
in and
know. Haley's the
fixing the
best.
very obvious problems with our squad and working with Seb. And I think it's going to be the fact that we have a team this year that I believe, can compete is definitely down to her and her hard work and her team and the scouts. And and everything they're doing, and Giles and Seb and those guys. So massive kudos to you, and we see you cooking in the off season, and we're excited about the new season. So thank you. Let's go to the comments. First of
Oh,
all, we got
Alonso says,
Alonzo.
"Buena tarde." It says, "Buena
Hey,
tarde."
buddy.
It says, it says, Coon and Friends. It says, "Do you think the name Pride keeps people from going to the games? Not to get too political, but it's hard to get people to come out to Pride games." Oof.
Yeah, it doesn't actually
No.
mean pride as in like the LGBTQ pride. It means
Pride in
like,
your city.
yeah, it's like pride to do with your city, but also like it's a nod to the pride of the Lions, like a pride of
Exactly.
Lions. Essentially, when we had an NWSL club started, it is owned by the same company that's owned obviously Orlando City, but we couldn't associate it with MLS because of the way that
Exactly.
the licensing rules work. So you couldn't actually name it like the Lionesses because that would be too close to the Lions and our nickname for Orlando City. So the pride was a sort of we're close enough, but not not infringing on laws. So that's where we kind of landed on that one. So
Yeah, I agree with you. Stream Jesus, I guess they are referring to a pride of the city, not the actual gay pride. Weird for a team name, but go Pride.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's Orlando Pride. I think it works on a lot of levels, honestly. So
Yeah,
I think also you just gotta support the team. It's not so much
exactly.
about the name of the team. Sometimes there's a lot of weird name teams out there in America. I don't know if you noticed,
Yeah.
but this one is more not really to do with anything specifically LGBT related, but it's just about pride in your team and pride in the Lions and the that connection as well. So there
So
you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
everybody, that was our first ever Orlando Pride Pod here on LPO. So a really exciting time. We're excited to have more. We'll probably be back next week.
yep.
I've got some ideas about what we're going to be doing in the off season, but
Some
I
interviews
don't know
too,
how much
hopefully
news
soon.
we're going to have, Luis, because it seems like we've done a lot of our business already. We're trying to keep our podcast to an hour, but it's really possible to do that when there's so much news for Orlando Pride that had to be done in one podcast. So that's awesome, though, and I anticipate some quiet times ahead. So can you go ahead and tell us about where to find you on social and where to find Loud and Proud Orlando on social media?
Yeah, sure. You can find us on YouTube as LPO underscore podcast or Louder Proud Orlando, on Instagram as LPO underscore podcast, and also on Facebook and X as LPO underscore podcast on all your social media networks. You can find us there as LPO underscore podcast. Thank you so much, guys.
Well, we appreciate you tuning in for our first ever Orlando Pride Pod. And as we do here on Orlando LPO, we always just say Vamos Orlando at the end. So that's how we should end our first here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Vamos
Vamos,
Orlando,
Orlando.
everybody.